Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me from well, the boss's office. No, it's the city administrator. I call him the boss, even though he probably doesn't like that. He's just Chad, he says. It's Chad Brecklin, your city administrator. Chad, welcome back to the show. How did you like that intro?
As always, Jeremy, your introductions are spot on. And I appreciated that you clarified that I'm just Chad, because that's perfect.
That's what I mean. I go high, low, and everything else in between. Chad, we're going to find out at the end of this segment, of course, your Final Four prediction, because we know people are definitely wanting to know that. And by the time this airs, I mean, it'll be past that point, but we'll lock you in here at the end on who you're taking there. But before we get to that, let's talk about what's happening here in the city of Fitchburg. And I think road construction, as things maybe warm up here, we'll talk some road construction, and we've seen some updates here coming our way as far as where these projects are going. And we got two major ones. We've been talking about it when we've come together. So we're talking about Lacey Road on both ends. So we'll start with Lacey and Sayin, because we have seen some construction already start here this month.
Yes, so we are entering road construction season, and we seemingly have been talking about Sayin or Lacey Road projects for a couple of years now. And Sayin Road, the Sayin Road project is continuing. This year's construction is likely going to lead to the road being closed April 3rd, and it's likely to be closed, I believe, through the month of June. While we look to do the section between Lacey and Sayin and East Sherrill, just to the north of East Sherrill. We'll see some traffic signals going in at both of those intersections. Some railroad improvements, I think, are also scheduled for near Lacey and Sayin. So for folks who use that route daily or regularly, they are going to find some road closures there for an extended period of time, and we'll need to have an alternate route in mind. So I know our public works and engineering team will be working with our outside consultants who are both on the design side and the construction side to have detour posted and those sorts of things. So we just ask for continued patience through there, and folks driving safely and responsibly through the detour routes as well. And we'll continue to talk about Sayin Road for at least one more year after this one. So
Ooh, you just set yourself up. It's going to be multiple years, because we just did have our public information meeting on the continued road construction of Sayin Road. And I say that lovingly because the road continues, and we've talked about this in the past. This project serves a lot of different purposes, but a big one comes in the safety in turning a roadway that was rural roadway into more of a modern, not rural runway. I'm drawing a blank on the word I want to use here. Urban. There you go.
Yep, exactly.
So either way, we did have a public meeting last week as well for the next phases after this year. If you wanted to comment on any of those projects down the road on Sayin the other direction.
Yeah, so in 2024, we have some grant funding that will allow us to reconstruct the intersection at Sayin and McCoy Road. And then we're also going to complete the rest of the reconstruction project from just north of East Sherrill Parkway all the way north to McCoy Road. So that is going to add some much needed safety improvements. Our design and engineering teams have been working diligently to put into place the best, most reasonably appropriate engineering solutions to mitigate risk. Through there, there'll be a couple of marked pedestrian crossings with some the RRFBs. I think they're the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, but that'll allow pedestrians the opportunity to get motorists' attention that they want to cross the street. There'll be a couple of traffic circles thrown in as well, and some permanently mounted speed display signs through that stretch also to help motorists ideally better monitor their speed through there. So lots of improvements. Again, the goal is safety, and we do what we can to mitigate the risks to both bicyclists, pedestrians, and motorists.
Yeah, and if you missed that public information meeting, it took place last Wednesday at Fire Station number 3. We have that online at our website, fitchburgwi.gov. You click on Fact TV and search for that meeting, and they're still taking feedback on that as well. So you can sign up for construction updates and more to hear from what's going on there. And of course, we'll share information both with you, Chad, and Daly here on Talking Fitchburg. The other construction project moves over to the other side of Lacey Road. One that I think we've been also talking about for quite a while now, but we're actually getting really close here this summer, and this is going to be Lacey up to Fitch-Rona Road. Lacey Seminole to Fitch-Rona Road. But tell us what's happening there and when they're going to get started.
Yeah, this was a project that was originally planned to be completed last year, and unfortunately, we had to delay it till this year. And that'll include reconstruction, as you mentioned, of Lacey Road between Seminole Highway and Fitch-Rona Road. And there'll be a roundabout that's being installed at the intersection of Seminole Highway and Lacey Road. And then again, much like with Cyene Road, Lacey Road has historically been more of a rural road that'll be converted to more of an urban roadway. To meet the current and future demands for that road, both in traffic count and volume, as well as current and anticipated development plans for that stretch. So I would envision that you'll probably see a roadway very similar to Lacey Road east of Fish Hatchery Road. When that was reconstructed a few years back, I think probably 6-7 years ago when that one was reconstructed. So we'll look to do a lot of the same things on this stretch as we did through there. And we're trying to time that one with the school summer break so that we try to minimize the impact on buses, parents, and others who are trying to get to the schools just to the east of the intersection with Lacey and Seminole. So this is tentatively planned, and things can still change for the road closures to begin in early June, lasting through the summer, and ideally wrapping up at least the intersection work by the end of the summertime in advance of school starting. There could still be plenty of work going on, particularly to the west, depending upon the complexity and weather and supply chain and those sorts of things. But overall, we're optimistic that we'll be able to complete a fair portion of the project within the summer months there and try to minimize the impact on the schools and the transportation there.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a tight window there for crews, so they're hoping for good weather, as are we, to get that project done. There'll be some stuff starting a little bit early as well on that project, which usually happens. You usually see utility work kind of get started ahead of road construction projects. So what will we be seeing here coming up?
Yeah, you are right, Jeremy, that there usually is some preliminary work associated with many of these reconstruction projects. There will be utility work that is going to take place in advance of the actual road closures and the bulk of the really visible work. Additionally, there is some brush that needs to be cleared, largely from the north side of the road, if I recall correctly, for the bike pedestrian path, multi-use path that is scheduled for the north side of that road. So you'll see that starting again sooner rather than later. We have some environmental reasons in which that needs to occur relatively soon.
Awesome. Yeah, when all that starts up, of course, stay tuned here. We'll keep you updated daily here during our Talking Fitchburg headlines, and we'll pick Chad's brain on all of these projects again coming up next time we have him on the show. Quickly, at recent council here, we did have discussions on the next phase of talking a little bit about TID closure and ARPA funds. How did that play out, and what are we going to have steps moving forward on that process?
Yeah, so as you're aware, we had our American Rescue Plan Act funding, as well as Tax Increment District 6 closure last year, which creates some excess increment that's afforded to the municipality, the city, for generally speaking, one-time use expenditures. And then we are also closing Tax Increment District number 4 this year, so that also leads to some excess increment available. In total, we have, I think it was about $8.5 million between those three sources that are in the process of being utilized. The city council has done a process the last 2 years, including this year, where they identify the priorities of items that they would like to be considered for use for these funding sources. So at the conclusion of last night's additions, I think there are 5 total additions in addition to what Mayor Richardson had added earlier this year, puts the total requested spending estimates at around $10 million, 10.25 million. So we're about $1.5 million in identified priorities for this funding that we have available. But that's okay. We obviously recognize we won't get to all of the priorities. That's quite a lengthy list, but council and city staff will work together to identify those items that have the highest priority, and we'll look to get those implemented over the next 2 to 3 years with the available funding.
Yeah, and then that process rolls into the capital improvement plan for 2024 and beyond. So we'll have that coming up as well. So that paperwork just dropped to staff. So you'll kind of see discussions re-emerge, I guess, from what this is and what will be taking place coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these identified priorities will be moved into the capital improvement plan this year with council approval, of course. There will also likely be a budget amendment that's put together in the next probably 60 days would be my guess, which will also look at some projects that staff believes that they may able to at least get started on this year. And then that budget amendment would allow the council to approve that funding to be available for this year.
All right, Chad. Well, we appreciate the time and the updates. You can come to go to our website at fitchburgwi.gov to get the latest on the different projects we talked about, and of course the ARPA TID information. And CIP is coming. We'll have that info for you too, all coming up. All right, your final. I'm not even gonna let you pick your final 4. Just tell me who's gonna win it all. I'll give you mine out of the gate. I want the Cinderella story. Houston. Houston winning at Houston. It doesn't happen very often. Let it roll.
I don't think they can do it. And I haven't done a deep dive yet. That's my evening project tonight. I hope to get my bracket picked before the games start tomorrow. But for some reason, I'm kind of leaning towards a Pac-12 team this year. I don't know. I think that kind of feels like maybe that's the way to go. But we'll see. We'll see.
You just noticed, folks, that he just totally bypassed picking anybody. So we'll leave it wide open, I guess, young man. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll get a hold of his bracket. We'll see what happens. But all right. Either way, Chad, thank you so much again. We'll talk to you soon.